Ready to start exposing Scientology again. Let's talk about it. Hey, everybody, I'm Natalie, and this is Scientology Life After a Cult, where we talk about exactly that, Scientology news and what life is like after a cult. And I've been doing a lot of living after a cult lately, and we are going to chat all about it. I'm so happy to be back home. I had an amazing amount of sleep. It was almost a religious experience, let me say that. Great to see all of you there in the live chat. I have missed you so much because even when I was in Hawaii and jumping on and doing some live streams, it was still always hard to see the chat and keep up. So even though I know many of you there were with me on different videos, I'm so glad that you're here now. It's great to see you. Aloha to all the members as well. Hey, Kelly Copter, good to see you. Aloha as well. Now, if you guys have any questions, put question in the front and we'll see how many of those we can get to. We're going to chat about a couple of things, but kind of just get back into the groove today. I slept 13 hours last night. 13 hours. I went to bed early and I thought, okay, I should have no problem, even with jet lag, because Hawaii is a 5 hour time difference for me. They're 5 hours behind. Coming back is and can be brutal. I had a ridiculously long layover in Los Angeles, and their flying has just been crazy because of that outage that happened last week. And I flew Delta and they kind of were still caught up in all of it. But they made it happen and I got home. But oh my goodness, I am tired. But I couldn't believe it when I woke up. 13 hours. I had planned I was going to actually go live at 11 my time. And I woke up at like quarter to 11. But here I am back with you guys and thrilled to death about it. I've shared some things about my trip as we went along the way. If you're new to my channel, primarily myself, my partner who passed away, my Tony, and his sons went to Hawaii to scatter his ashes, and it was absolutely beautiful. Tony's sister was there. Tony's son's mom came as well. We had the most beautiful experience with a whole bunch of just amazing things that happened, including a run-in with a pueo, I think it's called. It's an owl, but this white owl that I've never seen in Hawaii, but I've always known was there. And day one, we got there at night. The next day, we're driving along this road that just hugs the ocean in Puako on the big island of Hawaii. And it's day one. Like, we slept, we got up, we were on our way out. We're going down the road in Puako, which is where Tony and I always, as much as we could, that's where we wanted to stay. And if we couldn't find a rental in Puako, we would still head over there to go to the beach because it's one of our favorites. We're driving along this road, and right over the car's hood comes this giant white owl, which I thought was going to hit the car. It did not, thankfully, but it freaked us out because it looked so big because of the wing, and it just came over it's almost like it just went over the car. Anyways, we took that as a good sign. In the Hawaiian culture, a pueo like that, a sighting is an omen. I think it means like a visitation and a few other things. So we thought, oh, what a special way to kick it off. There were so many things that happened like that during the trip that was just absolutely amazing. And it really gave us not just time to be together and remember Tony and to continue to celebrate his life, but to really, be together for us, because we're still a family. And the boys and their mom live only 15 minutes from me. So I've already invited myself over for dinner. And we'll no doubt be over there. And his boys, of course, will be coming over here too. And seeing Odin, who I also miss. I have a giant schnauzer named Odin, if you don't know. And he missed all of us. And we missed him too. All right. So let's kind of jump into, I want to check in with your guys' comments as well. KT Peta, you're right. Tony messing with you, sending love. That's definitely what it felt like. It was, I'm 53. I grew up in Hawaii and I've been back. Most years I go back and see my family. I've never had this experience. I've also never been poked by a sea urchin or vana. Vana is what they're called in Hawaii. And if you guys were following me while I was in Hawaii, you know that happened. And I did recover from that. I was standing in the water. I was wearing water shoes. I'm very conscious of where I step because you don't want to, you get stung, but you also don't want to disturb the sea creatures if you can help it. And I was just standing there. In fact, I was in the middle of a live stream. Were any of you with me on that live stream when that happened? Because you hear me go, ow. I didn't know what happened. And so it wasn't until I got out of the water and some of you in the chat before I even had gotten back to our house said that that looks like a sea urchin sting. And sure enough, it was. The barb was like under my skin. There was nothing sticking out where you have the needle, but the ends are like barb-like, so they get stuck in there. So I had to soak it in hot water and a lot of vinegar. Hot water as long as you can take it. A ton of soaking so that the barb on the inside melts and then my body absorbs it. So did that. That's paratology. It's a good one. Slide the foot, never step. You have to kind of step because there's so many rocks in the water. You don't go along. There are parts you go along the sand, but there's not going to be any sea urchins there. They're around where the reefs are and the coral is. And that's where I try to be careful. But that was crazy. That's right, me and Taz. Life is never boring when Natalie is here. Great to see you, Anna, and all of you. I almost feel like I just was saying, what have you all been up to? Let me know. Fat Cat's Heaven. That song was beautiful. I was unaware that was actually from Fleetwood Mac. Yes. So you're talking about Songbird. Songbird is a Fleetwood Mac song. And there's a Hawaiian artist named Kimmy Miner. And she rearranged the song and did it partly in Hawaiian. And that is the song that my sister did hula to at Tony's celebration of life that happened before we left for Hawaii. It was so beautiful. I cry every time I watch that video. If you haven't seen it, I do believe, yeah, it's on my channel. If you go under lives and you go back, Tony's celebration of life, we did video and live stream, just the part where I spoke and then my sister did hula. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to try and learn to do that hula. That actually was the plan originally, was that I would do it, but I just could not. I was not ready to learn anything new at that point. It was just too difficult, but I do want to, moving forward, learn it because hula is beautiful. It's a part of, my culture growing up in Hawaii, but also it's amazing exercise because it is the way you have to hold the positions. It's kind of difficult that way, but something I thought, you know what, I should learn more. I haven't learned in a really long time. KT Peta says, every song video I cried and loved. Yes. It was so special for me to share all of this with all of you because you guys have been here. You've been here when, we still had my Tony here and he was, did some videos with me. He was modding and it's been a beautiful thing to move through this loss. That is a loss for many of you as well. But to be able to share these experiences. And Tony and I had many conversations before he passed about what level of sharing we wanted to do. And he had said that, he wanted to share the whole experience because we talked about what would happen afterwards, even with the celebration of life and his desire for me to take his sons to Hawaii and scatter his ashes there and all of it. And I think it worked out really well. There's so many more videos and things. I think I'll put something together. That's something I'm going to work on, is put together a video kind of highlighting a lot of those things and be able to share that. I've got a lot of things I'm going to be sharing with you coming up. I just need to get my head wrapped around being back here again. Neuropsych says you'll have time to learn. It's time to take it as you go. That's right. Absolutely. And that is my plan, to take it as we go. I'm very excited about a lot of content that I have coming up in regard to Scientology, not just a daily recap of Scientology news, but also I'm going to be doing more interviews diving into my individual story, sharing that more in detail, as well as my family's. And I've got other people that I've been talking to that want to come on and discuss certain aspects of their stories in being in Scientology, whether it was growing up in it or joining as an adult and leaving afterwards, and how all of that went. So there is no shortage of things coming up. So good reminder to show the like button some aloha, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well, and maybe the notification bell so you get notifications when I go live with those things. Sharona says, the hula literally took my breath away. It's been a long time since something touched my soul so deeply. It was an amazingly beautiful tribute. That is amazing. I love that. And I really believe that is what hula and Hawaiian music and all of it does for me. When I go home to Hawaii, it just fills my cup. It just completely does. And then I'm good for, well, usually about a year, sometimes less. And I'm so happy to hear that for you and many of you that happens for you as well. I've always said Hawaii is magic. It's absolute magic. And it's something that you have to feel to experience. I've told people this, and then they go and they're like, whoa, you really can feel it. And that's been the experience of each person who've gone to Hawaii for the first time, whether they've been with me or friends of mine who went on their own. Miles and Dominic definitely felt it. They had been there before. The Big Island specifically too, I think is really powerful in that way, with that healing energy. There's just so much energy there, or mana, as it's called in Hawaii. And for those of you that went, I love that you experienced that. Mary James, you honored our Tony in a most amazing way. I appreciate that. I absolutely. Me and Taz says, did little Davy make it through customs? He did. He did. I shoved him away. See, here he is. Proof of life. He is here. Oh, so wake up. Your dear leader is here. Just want to make sure you know he did make it back. I'm sure he liked it too. I'm sure. All right, let's see here. Debbie, everything has been so very beautiful for Tony. I love that. I really feel that too. I can honestly say that I think we outdid what even his expectations were, and absolutely mine. The number of people that came together and helped make this happen, all of it, is absolutely amazing. Meeting people who came for the celebration of life from all over, who helped out beforehand, who were there protesting at the Twin Cities Scientology org. Absolutely amazing. I wish I had so much time to spend with so many of the people that came. I had very, very dear friends of mine who flew in from out of town who I saw for about 3 minutes because it was so busy, which is such a beautiful thing. I wouldn't have had it any other way. And now it's time to play catch up. Molly Brown says, glad you're healing, Natalie. Let time be your friend. Grieving takes time. That's so true. The SP chef. Hello, darling. Lovely seeing you again. And hello to all in the fun chat. It is great to see you as well. Absolutely love that. Tia Moore. Yeah, you're so right. I get reborn in Hawaii. It's very, very true. It is so true. It's absolutely magic. Tracy says, oh, for sure. The hula was so beautiful and spiritual. Everyone in the comments were saying it too. Hawaii is magic. My favorite place on earth. I love that. Vegan 3. Did you know Clyde Mooney in Hawaii? It looks like he was a kid on staff at San Francisco org. Mooney. That last name sounds familiar, but I don't know if I'm confusing it with the Moonies. I would not. So I have not been in Hawaii as a Scientologist since, oh my goodness, I haven't been at the org since like the late 80s. If he's a second or third generation Scientologist, I might have known his parents or grandparents, or they might have came after I had moved to the mainland. But I did not know that. I'll have to keep an eye out for that when I'm watching content from San Francisco. I love that. Mooney. It does sound familiar, but I think it might be because of the Moonies. Club Brain Fog, good to see you. Thank goodness you're back. I now have my morning starter and could put my day on track. You and me both. Let me tell you, I have gotten so used to doing this recap in the morning. And I've always told you guys, especially when going through difficult times, for me, it's so helpful to have a routine and a schedule and an outlet and something to focus on and create. And that's what this channel has been for me and will be. And like I said, there's some really fun things coming up. Kelsey, Natalie, aloha from Iowa. We missed you and love you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. And lots of aloha to you as well. Iowa. Gosh, I haven't been to Iowa in forever. Jenny says we're supposed to be stationed in Hawaii, got canceled because someone had to take that spot. We ended up in South Dakota. South Dakota ended up being home for 30 years. Wow. So close. You know, though, it is really expensive to live in Hawaii, even to visit. I recommend to people that you do a short-term rental, a VRBO or an Airbnb, but you need to check the rules on each individual island because they are different. On Oahu, you can't do a short-term rental just anywhere. You can do it in Waikiki, or there's a resort on the north shore of Oahu called Turtle Bay where you could still rent a condo there. But those are two places where, wouldn't be my first choice. Now on the Big Island, which is right now is my favorite place to go, you can get a short-term rental all over the place. And it's also not as crowded and busy. At least I go to the Kohala Coast on the Big Island. On Oahu, when I was there for my dad's funeral and services, I could not believe the traffic had gotten even worse. And that's just not fun when you're on vacation and, you're just bumper to bumper on the North Shore of Oahu. It's still worth seeing, but I find now at this stage in my life, I enjoy going to the Big Island where it's more open. There's the parts of the island that I stick to, don't really have any traffic, and you can pretty much rent a place almost anywhere. It's the Kohala Coast, the Kona side, but I don't like staying in Kona because it's busy. So I go out to Puako, which is the only residential neighborhood on the Kohala Coast. You definitely have to check it out. So Vegan says the other brother Tim is in Clearwater with his family. The famous Hollywood Moonies are in LA. One was married to Cass Warner's daughter, Buddy, to Masterson. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think, at least I didn't know them if it was like firsthand. Kim is blue. Odin is amazing. He is doing great. His haircut is fabulous and held up. So he's really good. He was taking care of some friends, kept an eye on the house and took care of him. Let's see. Sharona says the incidents that have happened since Tony's passing, especially leading to the celebration of life and then in Hawaii, are astounding. Tony is having fun with you all. I really feel that. I do. There were multiple times where we were in Hawaii and I would just randomly get this image of Tony as a giant, if that makes sense, walking across the ocean. Giant. And it would make me laugh because he would be smiling and being goofy. And I don't know where that came from. It was just like I would be just doing my thing or looking at the ocean or playing in the sand. And in my head, I would just get this vision of him being so big and going across the island and just loving it. He loved it there, just like me. He once said that it was the place where he felt the most peace. Like he's never been that relaxed or felt that peaceful than he did on the Big Island of Hawaii. Fat Cat's Heaven. Have you considered being a realtor in Hawaii? I have. The thing is, though, the thing that really, in my opinion, that makes you successful as a realtor is knowing your community and knowing your area, because the house is the house. But I find in my experience in real estate, it's really more about connecting with the individual, with their community and around. Where are they going to shop? Where are their kids going to go to school? Where are they going to make friends? What is there to do? All of those things. And though I know some of that in Hawaii, I don't know all of it. And then Hawaii has different rules too, like when it comes to termiting the house and all these things. So I thought about it, but then I realized I would really need to live there for a chunk of time during the year. And as beautiful as it is, it's for me, I like to experience more on vacation because then you get to fully experience it. When you live in Hawaii, it is not the same thing as visiting it. because you're doing all the life stuff, right? And you're working and you're paying $8 a gallon for milk and almost $6 a gallon for gas. And everything is just so expensive. A regular 16-ounce bottle of kombucha here in Minnesota, I'll pay like $3 to $4 for it. It was $8. Not the big bottle, for the small bottle. So almost double. And that is the case with a lot. Now, the flip side, you get fruit because, a lot of people have fruit trees or you might have it on your property and you can get it for free. So I could see going and maybe spending 3 weeks doing something like that because I could still live stream and do all of that from Hawaii and share more of Hawaii with all of you. But as far as living long term, I don't see that. I also don't want to be that far away from my kids and grandkids and Tony's boys, and they're all here in Minnesota. But I could see running away for maybe 3 to 4 weeks, even in February, where it is very cold and snowy here in Minnesota. Even 4 weeks seems like too much. 2 weeks, I think, would be plenty. Maybe I'll split it. Hawaii and then someplace else. Got to dream. You got to set those intentions, right? What is it that I would like to happen? That's something that I'm figuring out because I really do not know. Stasia says, aloha, Natalie, mods in chat. We're experiencing cooler temps today in Michigan. Oh, good. I will be going to Michigan, actually. I don't know when, sometime this year. My friends who came to the Celebration of Life, who I just love and adore, and we're only able to see them for a few minutes, I want to go see them. And that's something I see myself doing, is because the beauty of YouTube is I can stream. I just need a strong internet connection. And it'll help me connect with other people too in the Scientology community or who might be under the radar in different communities. That's something that I really want to do as well. It's one thing to talk to somebody on the phone or, a video call, but to have these conversations in person, I think could be really helpful. I know it was for me when I left Scientology. I was doing these ex-Sea member reunions. At least that's what I called them. I don't remember if that was actually the branding for it, but they were all ex-Sea people. And having conversations in person with them, I found to be very helpful in my healing. And so if I can tie the two together, which there's an amazing number of people, not so much in Michigan, but other areas that, I could meet with and chat with as well. And it just adds to the adventure. So I think there will be some of that in my future. Hey, MW, greetings from Slovakia. Wow. My daughter has a good friend in Slovenia. Mena, it's raining here in Glasgow, but that's why Scotland is so green. True. It rains a ton depends on what part of the island you are on and what island. We stayed on more the desert side, so I'm not sure. It rained maybe a couple times overnight, but otherwise it was sunny. But we would go up to Waimea, Kamuela, or the other side, the Hilo side, and there's more rain. Spalino is in Minnesota. That's right. And I reached out to her, oh my gosh, it might have been a month ago. I need to follow up with her because I think she was going to let me know a time that worked for her. I wanted to have her on. I also need to order a copy of her book. I think it's Catherine, right? Catherine Spalino wrote The Bad Cadet. And I need to get a copy of that. I need to get a copy of all the books written by ex-Scientologists because I've read so many of them over the years. But what happens is I end up lending it to somebody. And I do want to have those on hand because there's things in it that I want to talk about. And that's one of the things I'm going to be going over in some upcoming videos is we're going to talk about some of the books that have already been written, maybe where those people are today. And some of them address a lot of the stories that many of you hear in regard to the crazy things that happen in the Sea organization and Scientology. SP Crusader, come to Scotland. You know what? I should. I need to renew my passport. I'm going to do that. Scotland would be fun. My grandfather was born in Scotland, and when he was 6 months old, his family moved to Hawaii and actually moved to the Big Island. So he grew up there, even though he was completely Scottish. Oh, Nico, there's fires again in BC. I didn't know that. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Yep, Lori, you talking about Catherine? I would love to as well. I got a whole list going. Ooh, Jenny Bean, it's gonna be hot in South Dakota. 107. Ew, it's gonna be 80 something here today, but I went ahead and I already have the AC on. Let's see. Okay, I see that vegan Catherine. Yes, we will chat. Donna says, Natalie, thank you for your beautiful videos from Hawaii. I feel like I was there. I missed you. I'm so happy you're back. You are so loved. Are you going to do more walk and talks? Yes, definitely. If you guys enjoy that, then I'm definitely going to do it. I have to figure out how to do it on my own while managing Odin at the same time. What I should probably do now that I have found my gimbal that I lost and then found again is use that. It's easier to hold that on walks. It's more sturdy, and then I can hang on to Odin with the other hand. So I think if you guys like that, I'll definitely keep doing it. Laura Font says, Nat, get your trailer going and do a tour meeting exes on the road. Yes. I am thinking about, so I have a travel trailer and I'm thinking of probably selling it. I really don't see myself trailering by myself, getting that thing on and off and parking it. That's something we never got to. It was on the list of things that Tony was going to help me learn how to do, things that he always did. And we didn't quite get there. But I'm not sure my comfort level of doing a travel trailer over any distance. But what I would like to do is maybe, do the dream, of course, ultimately would be a class A, which is those big ones. But I need someone to drive because I don't really want to drive that. But I think like a class B or C, which are smaller, some have the bed over the front of the vehicle. I have been talking to Kelly Copter. Kelly, I don't know if you're still here, but I have been talking to her into, I'm like, you need to come to Minnesota and we need to go on a road trip. We can rent one of those vans. Although realistically, I would probably want to stay at a hotel. I get torn because it sounds like such a great experience, but sometimes I'm just, I am a woman of a certain age, 53. I'm going to be 54 in September. And I'm just finding that I only have so many bends and squats in the day. And I can either, spend all of it, managing a travel trailer and doing that, or, just park it and be able to go out and then just have do some hiking and things like that. So if you guys are in Kelly Copter's chat, remind her she needs to come to Minnesota and do a road trip with Natalie. If nothing else, we will hop in my car. I want to take her to South Dakota to see Mount Rushmore. And there's bear country, this park where you can drive through and there's bears everywhere, and the Black Hills, and maybe even Deadwood, which looks like an old Western town. I thought that would be fun for Kelly Copter to see, being that she's from England. I thought that'd be a good experience, but I do want to do that. John saying, does that color of blue happen to everyone's ashes when they settle in the water? I know, if you saw it, and I can't remember, did I share the video of the scattering or just the photo? Either way, you see that it does turn this really bright blue. Now, I've done this in Hawaii. I did it for my mom, my dad, and now my Tony. So 3 times. Did I attend another? No. So I've done 3 of them. No, I've never seen that. Even my father's, which we did at Waimea Bay, which is just the bluest of blue water. No, I don't know what caused that. I don't know the mechanics behind it or how science works that way, or, if it had nothing to do with science. I don't know. But we were equally surprised. What I should have done was ask the people on the boat. They would know because they do it all the time. I was able to charter, I think it's called Kona Glass Bottom Boats. And they do glass bottom boat tours, but you can also charter the boat to scatter ashes. And they go out, I think don't quote me on this, but I think you need to be out 3 miles. And it's amazing. They even gave me the exact coordinates of when we did it. And I'm pretty sure, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get a tattoo. I have tattoos, but I'm going to get another one. I've got my Live Aloha one here. Oh, wait. You can't really, it's really hard to show because of where it's at on my arm. But then on my other here, I was going to get the coordinates of where we did it so that when my time comes, it's really easy. My kids just got to look here. Maybe then I'll put an arrow or put me here, but they'll know what that means. And I thought it would be great. because I know that no matter what happens between now and when it's time, when it's the end of my life, I know where I want to my remains to be, and that is off the waters of Hawaii. So I thought I'll just make it easier for my kids and tell them exactly where they can go to do it. And if that boat company's not around, somebody else will be. But it was amazing because we were able to see. So when we were going out to the location, you could see the reefs and the fish through the glass bottom. There were like 4 of them on the boat. It was beautiful. It was such a great way to do it. And we played a playlist. I've shared this. Some of you might remember this when we were in the hospital with Tony, when he was in the ICU, the night before he died, he woke up and he was fairly awake. And so I'm like, let's listen to music. And he would thumbs up or down the music, the song that he wanted to listen to. And I took each one and I made it into a playlist. And his sister was there. We were just singing and having a great time. Even through the ventilator, you could see he was trying to sing the song and dance. It was such a Tony moment. And I've heard this and I've seen this before. Somebody passes, they rally and they get some energy, sometimes even get up. And that happened with him. His rally was at 2 o'clock in the morning the night before. So his sister and I just stayed up with him, and he must have stayed awake for a couple of hours. But I took that playlist and we played it on the boat. I think we added a couple songs onto it. And we started it shortly after we left. And when we got back to the dock, the last song was done. Like, I had no idea how long the playlist was. I knew about how long the boat ride would be. And I wasn't making the playlist for the boat ride. We had it. We just threw on 2 more songs that we thought should be on there, including the hula that Lana did, that song, Songbird by Kimmy Miner. And it was just so perfect. It was just another example of how you realize you're in the right place at the right time because things are just flowing. Right when we pulled up, and it was the song that Lana did. It was Songbird that Lana did the hula to. That was the last song. It was just incredible timing. And I shared with you guys that when Tony passed, it was at the very end of Humble and Kind by Tim McGraw that was playing. And just right at the end, his head turned and he had taken his last breath. Just amazing timing. Things just keep going that way, which is how I know for me reinforces that, all right, we're on track here. We're on the right track when things are just clicking, right? It was just so amazing. Let's see. Oh, Laura, see, you feel me. Trailer camping was sacrilegious when I was younger. Now 45, I'm getting too old for that crap. It's not sleeping in the tent, but the packing and setting up camp. Yes. And that is something that I did not anticipate when we had the idea to do this, is it does actually take a good amount. Style audit 1A. Natalie, have you ever seen whales? From a great distance, but not a ton. I've seen more dolphins many times. In fact, I've been on the Big Island and swam with the dolphins, not in a place that you go, but we were out in a canoe or a catamaran actually, and we'd gotten in the water. I was with my uncle and aunt who worked for a company that had the catamaran, and we were all in the water and everyone was getting back in, and a pod of dolphins came, and I had on my fins and my snorkel, and everybody else had gotten back into the canoe, and I was going to be next, but I thought, wow, I want to go kind of see the dolphins. And I was able with my fins to stay with the pod, and they'll move and leave and not want you in the pod, but I was able to stay in the pod. So I was swimming with these dolphins to the side of me, below me, and I did not touch them, especially the smaller ones, the babies. But it was so tempting because they were right there and letting me go along with them in this pod. And with my fins, I could keep up more. And Tony was on the catamaran, and he told me later he was just freaking out because the scene of all these dolphins, it was a big pod and me in the middle where they could just see my snorkel up. And I'll be honest, at first I was like, oh my gosh, is this a good idea? But it was just so in the moment and spontaneous that I'm like, well, if they want me here, they'll let me be here. And if they don't want me here, they're going to let me know that too. And it was great. I was able to stay with the pod until I kind of tired out and I didn't want to get too far from the catamaran, and I went back to that. But it was just magical. Oh, good, Kelly, you are here. Road trip. Road trip. I'm going to try and get her out here next year. Donna, you're right. I love it when stuff like that happens. Natalie, I tell you, Tony was in charge. Somebody was, and it was not me. So many things happened that were absolutely magical that I kind of wish I would have been journaling on the trip. I do want to go back and do some journaling about it so we remember these things because there were just so many. It was crazy. Let's see. I know, Anna, you're right. It's each time I talk about Tony and his passing, it's easier for me to talk about. In fact, I'm trying to remember in Hawaii, did I? No, I did cry in the Uber. That was okay. That was on the way home here. But in Hawaii, I mean, there were lots of crying and happy tears for sure at just how beautiful everything was and how great it was to be able to do that for Tony and with family. That was just beautiful. But it is getting easier to say. That's been the biggest, hardest thing for me is telling people. Like I think the only reason I wasn't absolutely dreading the celebration of life is because everyone already knew. There was nobody at that party that I was going to have to break the news to. And that for me is one of the worst things. I do not like doing that. And I'm glad that so many people from our community locally came as well, because then I don't have to tell them. Let's see. William says, I hope you make it on the road trip. I seek same at 69, but fortunately I'm immature for my age and will do hopefully with a small group. Oh, to go ahead and road trip that way? Yeah, I think it would be fun. Let's see. Amber, can you message me or send me an email? My brain is not completely connecting dots on things like that. I think between the jet lag and everything that's been happening, so I just need you to be a little more specific on what it was, because I know I did, Amber, but I'm just totally kind of going blank on this. And we need to connect and set up a time too to have you on the channel. Now that I'm back and getting going, vegan 3 Odin can hold the gimbal. Oh, that would be funny. Me and Taz, you're right. If it's not written down, it didn't happen. That is a thing in Scientology. If it isn't written, it isn't true. That's the exact quote by L. Ron Hubbard. And so you would have that happen in Scientology for staff members. If someone shows up and goes, okay, there's an order for you guys to move these 10 buckets over there. You'd be like, well, where's this order? If it isn't written, it isn't true. If someone says, well, L. Ron Hubbard says that you should clean a window like this, you would have that L. Ron Hubbard reference. In Scientology, as Scientologists, it's called verbal data in Scientology. And it is against the rules and something that's punishable. You're supposed to show the actual L. Ron Hubbard reference, not just say what he said. You're supposed to actually show it. So there's no chance that you're altering that in any way. But yeah, if it isn't written, it isn't true. Jill, I'm glad you're reading Jenna's book. I am listening to it on Audible because I read it years ago when it came out, and I'm really enjoying it. Mar, you're right. Dolphins are healing. I would agree with that. Let's see. Evil Blue Eye. Love that perspective. A lot of people try to suppress others' emotions by saying, I would lock that away and never look back. Oh, like loss and all that? No, there's no locking anything away. I did that for 35 years in Scientology. I'm not locking a damn thing away. We are going to unpack that stuff. Because what I learned medically after seeing many neurologists is that if you don't process those emotions, especially from trauma, guess what? It's going to kick you in the teeth somewhere, somehow. I've shared with you guys, like up until a year and a half ago, there was a 5-year period prior to that where I either couldn't walk or needed to use a cane, all from the neurological issues that I was having. And I've been slowly getting better and getting stronger. And I haven't needed the cane in, well, over a year now, actually. When I found out what was going on with me and what the proper handling was, I had doctors who kept putting me into physical therapy, and turns out that's not what I needed. I needed neurological physical therapy and some cognitive behavioral therapy. And those things combined have really been a game changer. Oh my gosh, Kelly says, I spoke to a Sciento in Brighton last week. She was like, show me the reference. Wow, like you're walking around with a pack of L. Ron Hubbard's. Like, let me just pull this up on my phone and see what L. Ron Hubbard said about it. Show me the reference. That is something Scientologists say a lot to each other, especially if they don't agree with what you're saying. They just go, well, show me the reference. If you can show me that L. Ron Hubbard agrees with you, then I will agree with you. It's kind of like that. It's ridiculous. Let's see. SP Crusader, do you know which part of Scotland your grandfather's from? I do not, but I will find out. SP Crusader, I got to remember that. Scotland, Scotland, Scotland. Lori Plays says, Natalie, I sold my travel trailer because I just didn't find it that much fun by myself. There's a Facebook group specifically for solo women campers. Ah, yes, I've seen it. I think there's a couple. But yeah, it's just, I mean, we'll see. I think we're in July. I might, you know what? It's winterized though. If I here in Minnesota, we have to winterize our travel trailers, boats, all of that. So I'd have to de-winterize it, maybe go out one time, maybe two, and then I'd have to winterize it again, which means I'd have to travel, unless I learned how to winterize on my own. I guess I could do it. We'll see. We'll see. I do want to go out and try. Well, and I need somebody to show me. I can't just hook it up. Okay, I got some thinking to do. I do want to get out. I want to take my grandkids out in the travel trailer, but oh, I have an idea. There's a campground 20 minutes from my house. I have a friend who is a very good friend of Tony's who's helped me with a few things. I bet I could ask him to trailer it for me, just drop us off and then come get us 2-3 days later. That's what Tony would do. When he wasn't filling up to coming, I would go to the campground nearby with my grandkids and he would just drop us off and then come visit during the day and then go back home. I need to do that. Need to do that. Let's see. And if you're just joining, be sure to go show that like button some aloha and check your subscribe button as well. Oh, Leisha says, talk to Poe about the trailer. Okay, I will do that. That's right, Kelly. I don't want to be solo. That's right. I won't be solo. I'll be with you. But I even think, well, depends though. See, by next year, I might have it sold. I mean, it's something I'm paying for that is not getting a ton of use. And then I thought about renting it out because there are apps where you can do that. But then I feel like they're just going to destroy it. I did that last year and I had a really bad experience with a rental. And it took my travel trailer out for weeks because I had to get a window fixed. It was just a huge pain in the butt. So I'm just like, I'm a little shy about doing that. Yep, me and Taz, exactly that. You can downsize the camper for something more manageable. That's what I want to do. And I think for as often as I will probably do this, I could rent one rather than have one full time unless I was doing some type of road trip. But we'll see. We'll see, Kelly. What did they do to it? How did they break the window? They had a 3-year-old who was sleeping in the camper and they had the door shut. And instead of opening the door, the red lock, the 3-year-old locked it. And they could not get the 3-year-old to unlock it. The 3-year-old started to panic. And I'll be honest, I don't blame the mom. The panic, especially when you have a 3-year-old or, one child or your first child, it's more panicky. What I'd wish is they'd gone around to the back where it would have been more you could slide the window and push in the screen, but instead they broke a window that was not a slide window, but broke it so the dad could get in and get the 3-year-old out. I get the panic. They did pay for the damages to the trailer, but it messed up a whole bunch of my season. And that's why I'm kind of shy about doing that. Pause for Andrea. That's so cool that you got to follow a pod of dolphins in Santa Cruz. That's fantastic. Walking along the beach. I love that. Mar, yep, it's super expensive to rent them, but it's cheaper than buying them, especially if I'm not going to use it. And here in Minnesota, we only have several months where we could actually use it. That's a great idea. Not sure about campgrounds up there, but maybe you could find someone to come out and talk to you about trading for smaller. That is true. That is an idea too. Hello. How do you see et voila? AKA Bridget, thank you for becoming a member. Hip, hip, hooray. Keep an eye on that community tab. And part of my plan as I get going again is to create more members only content too, to make it really fun for members to be members, because it does help me a ton. And I really appreciate that support. Voila. Voila. Is that how you say it? Voila. Voila. All right. I got to wrap it up because Odin's getting a bath. I got to go pick him up. Got to go do that. So everybody, thank you for being here. I'm getting back onto a recap schedule. I'm not going to do a set time, probably the next couple days, just because I want to make sure I give my body a chance to recover and catch up. But I am going to be doing much more content than you've seen me do, because I am back now and I'm jumping back in, and it is going to be a wild ride. It's going to be fun. We're going to bring a lot of stories. We're going to bring a lot of healing. We're going to talk about, I've been deep diving on some other cults too that I'm dying to talk about, and really don't have any, like I have maybe 1 or 2 friends in my life in person that might want to talk about it, but you're my people. So we are going to talk about some cult stuff and what Scientology has in common with these other ones as well. I'm fascinated by it. Hopefully you guys will be here for it as well. So in the meantime, everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for hitting like. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because we got lots of fun things planned. Everybody, I hope you get out and have an amazing cult-free day.